Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete, with a message. And I want to talk to you about being a key person of influence and why it's so important to position yourself in the future. 3 strategies to implement now. The 3 strategies are 11, 7, 11, 4. What does it mean? Well, leads change lives. Why do we say that? Because if your business has a lead flow, you will change lives, not only for you, but the people that surround you. So it's so important that you focus on 11, 7, 11, 4. And we're going to get into that because I want to share with you why you make this fundamental shift, why it's important to say, I want to be a key person of influence. I want to use the 11, 7, 11, 4 strategy, because if I do, I'm positioning myself for the future, because the digital revolution is going on now. Your digital assets that you create, a podcast, write a book, do a magazine, an online course, anything that has to do with an asset. And an asset is a book, it's a physical book. A podcast is a digital asset. You're doing business globally now, and you have to think globally. So your strategy is to act locally, think globally by putting digital assets out there. Let's go forth and give you a little bit about why 7, that number 7 is so important. Robin Dunbar. I think I called him by a different name. I think I called him Roger. But anyway, the number of hours that you need to interact with somebody before you care about them is about 7. That is consuming 7 hours of podcast, a book, a workbook, a magazine, an assessment. All these are ways that you can consume that information to know, like, and trust people. And it's digitally now. It's used to be you would just do it locally, but we've shifted. We're now online. Everything's online. Everything is important that you understand the digital shift so you can position your company. Now, let's go back to Robin Dunbar. Now, he's famous for saying this. Now, Daniel Priestley, who wrote the book, Key Person of Influence, talks about him all the time. When we look at these numbers, 7, that's 7 hours. When we look at this, 11, that's Google's zero moment of truth, meaning 11 buying signals. People online have to lean into you, want more, take an assessment, buy your book, listen to your podcast, buy your magazine, take a workshop, attend a webinar, comment on a link post, whatever it is. It's got to be 11 of them. That's not 11, but you know what I mean. 11. People have to need to know about you. They always say need to know. When somebody's interested in you, that's a need to know. If you say, like we say, generate leads, create cash flow, and build thriving communities, that's what I will say. And if somebody doesn't say anything like, I don't care, then they're not interested. There's no need to learn. So I don't need to go into podcasting and publishing and building thriving communities and publishing books and all that. I don't need to do that because they aren't interested. And once we understand, as people offering our services, we may be passionate about what we do. The world doesn't have to be. So if they're not interested giving you a buying signal, then you don't need to keep telling them. Respect their time. Why is TikTok and these short form videos, why are these short clips so powerful? Because people's time and attention has shortened in the years. So they're not going to listen to you for 20 minutes if you don't have something of interest. Now, a long form podcast happens usually from a short form video. They get a glimpse of you. They're interested. They want to go another step. They want to listen to a longer form of you. And when they do that, they're leaning into you. And that's where it's so important. So when you look at this, your pitch is so important. Your pitch has got to be short, tight, and you got to work on it. You got to play with it. You got to practice it. Practice, practice, practice. Because there's going to be a moment that somebody's going to bump into you. And this person is going to be somebody that can really elevate your business. But if you don't have the short pitch and show the interest solving a problem, a lot of times we'll say, do you know how people struggle with cash flow? And if they say yes, what we do is generate leads through buying signals. What's a buying signal? Okay, it's people raising their hand saying they're interested in knowing more. So that's a dialogue that allows for people to know more because they're interested in knowing more. So when it comes to your profile, first you get your pitch down. Second, your profile. Your profile can consist of a book, can consist of, let me see if I can get this on here, can consist of a podcast, consist of a magazine. Our collaborative magazine's an asset. Tennis All Happenings, you can find our magazine to see, and there's a whole training on that, and we're going to get into a little bit of it. An assessment, that's a different platform. See how these 4 different platforms, a podcast, a book, a magazine, an assessment, 4 different. And that's why the 7-11-4 is so critical to you dominating your name, because people buy from people. They don't buy from companies. So when you look at this, you are the magic. Anything's possible. You are the magic. Your product, and I'm going to give you a gift at the end of this so to reward you to want to know more. And the presentation has to be well thought out. You have to be really good at the presentation. But until then, you got to get your pitch right, your profile right. You have to have a product. We have a product that we're going to give you. And the presentation becomes the 4th. And the last is partnerships, because your key partnerships are going to determine how far you elevate your business. So when we look at things like, and let me see if I can get this up. Okay, here it is. Okay. So we like to teach our community relationship wheel. What does it mean? A relationship wheel are your single biggest and most valuable asset. Why? Because these are your nurtured relationships. It's the goose that lays the golden egg. Meaning, when you look at this wheel, and this is just a general wheel, okay, CPA, attorney, banker, insurance person, business broker, groups, clients, payroll, software, coach, real estate agent. This could be your key strategic partners, or it could be different. Well, I'm going to show you in just a second. You got to formulate yours. This is just a sample for you to know. These people, when you look at a CPA, what does a CPA have? Lots of clients. Do you think once a CPA knows that you have the goose that lays the golden egg, the single biggest and most valuable asset, he's going to keep it a secret? I hope not. Because if you have a cure for cancer, you're going to make sure everybody knows about it. So if you have a cure to help generate leads, increase cash flow, and build thriving communities, you're going to share it. So when we look at that, it's not just one client, it's a CPA that has, say, 50, 100, 200, 500. But you have to nurture these relationships. They're not going to just arbitrarily give you access to their clients. Not until you've nurtured it, you've proven yourself, you're trustworthy. The person that runs the firm is confident because their relationship is on the line. If they're going to refer people to you because they see a better way for them to grow their business, because if they're successful, the CPA is going to be talked about like they want their businesses to be successful. Same with an attorney. Now, we focus on IP attorneys because we want to have intellectual property. We want to have that with our assets. So that's important. And a banker has small businesses. So if the banker feels you're a valuable asset to him or her, you're going to get the referral. So that's why we say the single biggest, most valuable asset is your known, like, and trust resources, people you've done business with, people you trust. Years takes to nurture these. I'm going to show you in just a second, but I want to take you back to this because I want you to see this book. Get this book. It's a great book because it's going to give you the mindset of what you need to do, why pitch is important, the profile, the product, the presentation, the partnership, knowing the essence of this. Let's go on to the second one. Start building your key strategic teams. We say it like your categories. So we look here. These are your categories, and they have to be relevant to your business. There's an exercise we teach you, but making them relevant, like they provide, like for me, a relevant could be another podcaster who always has new podcast guests. And a podcaster more than likely is an influencer because they're echoing their voice. They're putting their assets out there. So I would need to nurture, and one of my categories would be podcasters. One of them would be clients once they get the power of the system here and why it can help grow their business. Because it used to be, and I used to have a digital marketing business, small one, but I had one before my stroke. Probably gave me a stroke. I'm not going ever back to that. But you can send a lot of traffic to a business if they're not there and they don't have the systems and they don't have the processes, they don't have it built. It's like sending a person to a burning building. That's not going to be what you want to do. So you want to make sure this is a strong foundation. But when you can do this and build those relationships, carefully select your categories. Build out your first level, which is your gold, most trusted, because we say like crawl, then walk, then run. When you walk, you're getting your second level. You always want 3 in each category. So you're filling this out to build out, let's say, your 12 categories and 3 in each. First category, first line that you're looking at right here, that's your most trusted ones, the ones you've known, the ones you've done business with, that you put your life behind them. And you want, when you refer people, you want them to come back to you and say, Pete, man, when you recommended that banker, he was awesome. She was awesome. That's what you want, but they have to deliver a high level. That's why what's so important when you're referring people, you better be you better have the mindset that your reputation's on the line. I had a situation 40 years ago. Moved to Atlanta. We were transferred down here. Didn't know anybody. So I called a friend of mine who had, I think he had moved from Richmond down here. Called him up and asked him, I said, hey, who do you know in a real estate agent? Instead of giving me a trusted person that he had done business with, he gave me his part-time niece, who was a disaster. About the only time I saw her over the 9 months was when she came and picked up a check. And I called him back up and I said, listen to me very carefully. Don't ever recommend your part-time niece. I'm not a whooping boy to try out her inexperience. Let her cut it on somebody else. But he ruined a relationship because all he was thinking about is helping my part-time niece, help her get training, help her understand her industry. That's what you could do, not throwing her in my camp so I got to train her. I'm not in the business of training your niece on how to be a real estate agent. That is not my responsibility. And it was a disaster. Coming here every few months and checking on a house because I didn't have a real estate agent that knew a darn thing about anything. So you got to believe that your reputation is on the line. So when you refer people, you better take it personally because it's going to come back to bite you in the butt, or it's going to come back to be an attaboy and a hero type situation. Your choice. But when you're building this out, build it with people you know, like, and trust. So your first gold, that row, the first row right here, that's your most trusted. Then you go to your next, which is your walking, then you're running. So you build out 36 people, you're invincible. Because when you come to a presentation and you bring a team of 36 people that have been vented by you and you're bringing together your better, I'm telling you, that ideal prospect that knows that you have it, and you can, if you do this. Let me go back to this one slide. I think I have it. Yeah. Nope, I don't have it. Yeah, I was just looking for it. Yes, I do. I think I do. Okay. Now, let me see. Okay, let me do this. Hold on here. I know I have it. I want to bring this to you. Looking for a, oops, no, that's not it. Oh, that's an image. Okay. All right, hold on here. I know I did it at the beginning to give, yes, here it is. Okay. There it is. So, that magazine there, what we do is we put you through a 12-week transformation to put 20 of your 36 relationships, your key strategic partners, in a magazine. The podcast gets translated to their story. So you're bringing to the presentation a physical asset that they can take and know that they can use as a resource because you're on the cover and your team is in the magazine, which puts you in a more powerful position to add value to that ideal prospect. So it's so important when you're going through this, that presentation, you're bringing a team of people. And so when you're bringing a team to people, the confidence of your ideal prospect goes way up because they know they're taken care of by you and your team. And they can look through the magazine. Because if they look through the magazine, they can do a trust and verify. They can read about it. They can call the people, ask them. They don't have to take everything literally, but your reputation's on the line when you refer people in your network. So it's important that you're making sure that when you're building this out, that's why nurturing it, know, like, and trust, reach out, engage with a podcast. Get to know. If you're missing the third person in a particular category, look for that person, not to sell them, but to put them on a team of people that you're going to be working with. So when you look at that and you look at this magazine, be on the cover, ask your key strategic partner community magazine. Collaborate, it's a partnership. Together, you're better. Establish a stronger relationships. So the relationships are what are the key to your business. But now you have a plan. I'm going to fill in. Let me see if I can hold on here. I think I can. Okay, here we go. We can fill in this. When you fill in this is your goal, is to build your team out. So when you're out there networking, you're not looking to sell a customer, you're looking for a strategic relationship that'll make your team stronger, and their team will be stronger because you invite them on the podcast, you create a digital asset. So when you look at this, let me give you a little something. Come be on our podcast. It'd be an honor to host you on our podcast so we can introduce you to people in our community, build a relationship, and help your story get out there in a digital asset. When you do that, you're now starting the process. I like to always say that when you go to Costco, which in the US, it's a value membership warehouse, big portions, high value, but they always have sample tables. And you can sample things. So you're not sure of something, it's a big quantity, you don't want to throw it away if it's no good. So you sample it. Same here with podcasting. Come on a podcast, sample it. I hear people, I've never done one before. Okay. Before you rode a bike, did you know how to ride it? Of course not. But you got on it. And then you fell off. Not that you're going to fall off a podcast, but it's just a conversation. But a lot of people think it's bigger than it is. But we're shining on your story, creating your digital asset, putting you out there and doing it at no cost, because we want to give you a sample of the potential of a digital asset, which is a podcast. So when you look at yourself, you look at book a podcast, because you're going to be asked to do a waiting list. Assessment, because I got to know about you. But there's a lot to be said about the strategy I'm going to give you towards the end. And that is really to know more about you. I can have a better podcast. I can connect you up and possibly be involved in the magazine. Because if you want to go that route, but most of what we do is for free, because we want to show you the value that you get from us. So you can make sure when you spend $1, get $10 back. Always look to multiply your dollars. Don't do like a lot of people. And I've heard it said about an organization, I got my money back. If you got your money back on marketing, you're just not aiming high enough. You want to get 10x back. So look for every dollar to multiply for you. And you can with us. Okay. Going back to this, get on my podcast, pkane.me/nothing. Okay. We do virtual events, /virtual. We just did one this morning, our KPI Summit. We do live events. We have once a month where we have our speakers 5 minutes, 3 points. We connect you and we teach you to speak from a platform. Then we elevate you in the community, because if people see you speaking, you may be the guest to come into an association. Like I'm in Rotary. We have a guest speaker every week. Well, 3 out of 4 weeks, because we do a social in the 3rd week. But we have speakers, and you're talking in our particular Rotary, it's 100 plus. So you have an opportunity to meet these people and to share a message. You're not selling anything. You're educating people. And you can develop an educational talk because it gives you an opportunity to be in front of people and learn how to speak from a platform. The more you speak, the better you get. Our every podcast is sponsored by Growth Day. So if you want to try this for 7 days, Brendon Bouchard's the founder of Growth Day. He's the best in the business, and he's talking to you every morning on the 5 to Thrive. He's talking to you in a daily fire. It goes away at midnight, but he's giving you a unique framework. He gives it to our community. The community is pushing 500,000 people in 60 plus countries. So numbers don't fool. Numbers tell you the truth, that it's working. And if you want to, you go to petekane.me/growth day. Try it for 7 days. See if it doesn't blow the socks off of you. And that way you're starting your day with a rocket, because personal development, when applied, is the key to your growth of yourself and your team and your people that are around. So go to petekane.me/growth day. You can try it for 7 days. Then send us a support ticket at petekane.me. We'll send you our free course, my free course, Mindset, Goals, and Habits. So that's our magazine. So let me go to this slide. And if you would like to be on the cover of the magazine, and we'll teach you how to put that together in a magazine, go to petekane.me/magazine. And when you do that, you'll see the sample. You can order from Amazon. There's 32 sample stories in there, but you can picture we do 20, and we take you through 12 weeks of a transformation to help you become the cover, the key person of influence. When you're that, you're handing these out. You don't sell them. Got something in my mouth here. Hold on here. That's better. You're the key person of influence. And when you're that, and you're on the cover of the magazine, and you're surrounding yourself with your key strategic partners, you become valuable, more valuable. And that's the strategy that we use. So that's in the magazine. So as we wind down, let me give you a little bit more. Hold on here. That's our virtual summit. We have a digital revolution going on. Become a key person of influence. Create that. Let me see if I know there was something else here. Yeah. Here it is. Growth Day. Growth Day, the 5 to Thrive, Library of Learning, journaling. I've been journaling every day for 3 years since my stroke. That has been the single biggest aha that I've ever had. And I journal in the past, but it was always when I was in a dark spot, depressed, whatever. It wasn't in a good spot. And you always hear, be grateful. And I'd say, be grateful if I could get out of this mess I'm in. But now I do it as a habit. And by doing it, I get clarity. And when I get clarity, I sleep like a baby. And I'm ADD, if you haven't figured that out, and dyslexic. Weird combination. But journaling has really been the single biggest help to me to develop my writing, my clarity, my thought process, my sleep. Everything is benefited by journaling. And if you score yourself, which you can within Growth Day, you got to measure. You can't improve what you don't measure. So when you're measuring on a regular basis, journaling, you're accessing a library of learning. You're taking that daily shower of personal development. Your mind becomes clean and just expands because you're feeding it the right food. And the right food is personal development. We call it the 5 to Thrive, the fuel for the day. And it's actually fuel for your life. Okay. So let me go back to here. And as I go, I know I have one more slide to show you. And it's one that just really talks about what your options are, because it's so important. I want to help you really grow in this year. And to grow, coaching is critical. Here we go. Coaching. We have one-on-one coaching, and you can go take a strategy session if that's something you're interested in finding out more. It's usually for people that are stuck, want to get to a higher level, want to work on the six primary. The primary is clarity, energy. And when you do work on clarity and energy, you have, let me see, courage, influence, and productivity. Sorry about that. This is later in the day. I get up awful early. But we have our 12-week transformation, and you can go to the magazine and you can find out more about it there. And when you do that, we also have our KPI Club. That's a monthly strategy where we give you 3 to 5 strategies. I give you 3 to 5, and it's monthly. So if your budget it doesn't allow for a lot of money invested in you at this time, that could be a good option. It's $1 to start out, and then $97 a month after that. The $1 gives you a sense of sampling it, see the quality of the worksheet and the teaching. And that way you can see if that's the path you want to go on, because eventually you can move up to the Key Strategic Partner magazine, which is a 12-week transformation to give you a published magazine with you on the cover. Okay? And if you want to be coached, high performance coach, and let me see if I can. Yes, I can. Hold on here. I want to go back to this slide right here because I don't want to flip. Here we go. Okay. So when it comes to certified high performance coaching, Brendon Burchard has been doing this for 20 plus years, coaching the best in the industry. I became a certified coach last year. The best thing I ever did. First session is high performance focal points. Then it's clarity, second week, energy, third week, courage, fourth week, productivity, fifth week, influence, sixth week. Then we get into the mastery phase, psychology mastery, physiology mastery, productivity mastery, persuasion mastery, purpose mastery, and then a commitment to what it is to be a high level performer. If this is something that you think you need, you're stuck, you're just not getting to that next level, all high performers, coaches. I just read an article about Michael Jordan and John Daly. They were just he was talking, and Michael Jordan was an accomplished scorer when he came out of North Carolina. He went to the Bulls. He was the leading scorer for a few years. I don't know how many, but a few. But when Phil Jackson came in, Phil Jackson is a high performance coach. They called him a Zen coach. He put his system in play, got the players to surround Michael. Then all of a sudden, what happened? 5 national championships. 5. Not 1, 5. So you want to perform at a high level? You want to go to the highest level in your business? Hire a high performance coach. Book a session. See if this is right. I'll spend an hour with you really going into how we can support you, help you through high performance mindset. And here is clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. That's out of Brendon's book, High Performance Habits. You can get access to that in Growth Day. But here you get access to 12 weeks where we take you through that transformation. And ours is we also help you to launch your magazine too. So if this is something you would like, just go ahead and sign up for the strategy session. Now, I told you I was going to give you a gift. Okay. We have an ecosystem or a master class, some people call it. That's 10 steps to grow and scale your business. You get access to that. Go to petekane.me/masterclass, and you can have access to that to help you grow and scale your business, because 2025 is the year to break out. with AI kicking in, all these trends happening, the digital, the entrepreneur, the crypto, the technology revolution, the mobile revolution, and the revolution of personal development. Having access to the best to start your day, put fuel in your rocket of a business and see what that business is capable of doing. Because we always say the magic is in you, and any